It was an active severe weather day Monday in Minnesota with 6 tornadoes touching down. Some of this video pretty incredible. The winds just tearing through a roof of a nursing home in Watkins. Residents there had to be relocated to a safe place. Also, damage was reported in Litchfield. Check this out. See all those roofs flying off those structures. Now, this was on a farm. That tornado moved further out into the country. Now, just one minor injury was reported in these Minnesota storms. Flash flood warnings were issued in the area, with the sheriff advising residents to stay off the roads.
So I want to show you this video of a hailstorm that happened in North Dakota. This was over the weekend on Sunday. And, you know, initially when you start looking at this video, you're like, okay, there's some golf balls falling out of the sky. Yes, that's the type of storm that can do damage, but we've all seen video like this before. But fast forward to about a minute later, and oh my goodness. I mean, take a listen to that. So this is what happens when you mix big hail with probably a downburst, is what I'm guessing was happening here, because you can see the wind coming in here, easily 60 miles an hour plus, probably up around 70 miles an hour or so. You've got huge hail coming down that's completely shredding the trees, and I can guarantee you this is the type of storm that does damage to houses, like the siding on houses, because you've got wind-driven hail moving about 60, 70 miles an hour horizontally. So in addition to probably the windshield damage that happened to some of the cars there, and maybe on the roof, I'm sure you had some siding damage. And boy, that is a dangerous
Look,
storm.
Cone right there. Oh my God.
I don't know about you, but this video just gives me goosebumps. Look at that. That blue illumination going in the background. Oh, it just gives me the willies. We've actually slowed it down so you can see it there, that funnel in the background. This was in Eureka, Kansas from Thursday night. There were actually 2 tornadoes that hit Eureka, Kansas that caused damage, one extensively to a nursing home. They were rated an EF2 as well as an EF3. We also know that there were 50 homes and businesses that were damaged. Thankfully, the Greenwood County Sheriff says that nobody was hurt or killed in the storm. But of course, a lot of damage and plenty of cleanup that's going to be happening over the weekend.
one of about 30 trees that were knocked over yesterday in the St. Louis area due to a strong line of storms that moved through. Actually, a derecho moved through the Central Plains into the Midwest Wednesday afternoon, knocking out the power of about 200,000 customers in Missouri. Winds were whipping upwards of 70 miles an hour. Also, there were some reports of structural damage in the St. Louis area. One person suffered minor injuries in Maryland Heights. That's according to the National Weather Service. Now, it wasn't just Missouri that had the storms yesterday. Illinois, more than 95,000 people lost power from those storms.
Or through the Taiwan region earlier, you can see the fury of the wind and rain. Wind gusts nearing 200 kilometers per hour, some of the strongest recorded in more than 100 years. At least 3 people died, 100 others were hurt. Buildings heavily damaged across the island. Now, eastern China is on high alert as the typhoon nears Fujian's shores. The powerful weather system is expected to make landfall Saturday morning.
The first typhoon of the year caused traffic chaos and significant damage to residential buildings. Nipatak was downgraded to a tropical depression on Sunday morning. It will keep moving north to Jiangxi, Zhejiang and Jiangsu provinces. China's weather authority has issued an orange alert for heavy rain in the region. Nipatak will create more challenges for flood prevention at Jiangsu province's Taihu Lake. As of Saturday, water levels reached almost 5 meters. That's 1 meter above the warning level.
The Promenade des Anglais, the famous seafront of Nice, and the truck still stands where the police finally managed to stop it by killing the driver. By then he'd caused carnage, ploughing through crowds for 2 kilometers, zigzagging, eyewitnesses said, to ensure he hit as many people as possible. These pictures show the moment his murderous journey came to an end. As police surround the cabin, he was carrying guns and grenades. And you can see some of his victims on the street behind, and you can sense the panic all around. And these pictures were taken a little bit earlier as the truck drove down the waterfront. The crowds were here to celebrate Bastille Day and watch fireworks. Panic swept through surrounding streets. And as France wakes up again to horror and death, the residents of this holiday town try to make sense of what has happened here.
There were people on the ground, yes, people on the ground, many, many. I was trying not to look. I didn't want to see. I tried to look at the sky. It was too painful, too painful.
There are many severely wounded in hospitals, including more than 50 children.
With everything that's been happening, you sort of expect it. But this, I can't speak. I'm sorry.
President Hollande and Prime Minister Valls flew to Nice and once more searched for the words of compassion and resolve to match the occasion.
We
want to say very strongly to the French people, we will not give in. France will not give in to the terrorist threat. We are in a new era, and France will have to live with terrorism, and we should be as one. That's the message of the President. Be united, show your collective strength.
French media have identified the driver, a Tunisian with French residency, Mohamed Louaige Bouel, known to the police but not the intelligence services. Inevitably, there are many questions. Should the authorities have known more? Was the driver alone? Should the truck have been stopped earlier? And how can an open, free society prevent such an attack? Brutal in its simplicity. Barnaby Phillips, Al Jazeera.
A new image of the truck. It's a relatively large truck, and you can see that there looks like gunshots in the window, bullet holes in the window of that cabin of the truck.
Yes, as you mentioned, this is the kind of truck that, frankly, would not draw a lot of attention. Obviously, the celebrations there would cause them to close the promenade. It's the seafront promenade there in Nice. People were there gathered to celebrate the holiday, and it would obviously be not something that would draw a lot of attention until you get right to where the streets are closed off, and that's the reason why they could take people by surprise. Even if you have dozens of police there, it's really impossible. It's impossible to stop somebody like this if they really want to do the damage, and it appears they've done a lot of damage.
We had just finished watching fireworks. I mean, there were like thousands and thousands of people out here. And the fireworks had just ended, and we started walking across the street towards the restaurants. Our show had ended, but we just assumed they were fireworks still going off. But then really shortly after that, I saw people running, and we didn't at this point have any idea what we were running from. We just booked it. I mean, I grabbed my fiance and we started running. We're not locals, so we really didn't know where we were going, if we were going towards something. I mean, it seemed like everyone was running, we were running away from something, but, we were just turning down alleys and kind of looking for somewhere that might be safe. A lot of the shops had started closing the doors, so we went into a restaurant. I asked them right outside. I mean, they just closed the door, and I was like, please let us in.
Yes, me and my family received death threats almost immediately after the shooting. We're working also with our law enforcement partners in the area to determine the meaning of the initials RB that were scribed on the walls there in 2 locations inside El Centro. This wasn't an ethical dilemma for me. I'd do it again, Keith. I'd do it again to save our officers' lives. To use a robot, I would use any tool necessary to save our officers' lives. And I'm not ashamed to say it. My brain is fried. The memorization it takes to run a major city police department just in a normal process day with all the things that happen is overwhelming. So this transpiring along with the normal things that are continuing to happen in the city is difficult at best. We're asking cops to do too much in this country. We are. We're just asking us to do too much. Every societal failure, we put it off on the cops to solve.
Promoting the KKK are raising tensions tonight. Simon Chiquette is live in Trenton, where police are investigating the suspicious deliveries made right in the middle of the night. Simon?
Stephen, police point out those flyers do not reflect what this community stands for, but still, so far, no laws have been broken.
For God! For God! For country! For country!
Known around the world for their attacks on African American, Jewish people, and other minorities, the cross-burning KKK operates in secrecy.
For race! For race! For clan! For clan!
But now homeowners in Trenton tell us they are shocked after recently receiving flyers on their front lawns as an apparent recruitment effort.
I moved out here for peace. I didn't move out here for the foolishness.
This woman asks us not to show her face as we interview her on the 3400 block of Trumbull, where actual literature was dropped off.
My kids go to school here. I pay taxes along with everybody else. I own my house. This is ridiculous.
Police say flyers read Loyal White Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, with a number and a website accompanied by 3 small rocks.
This is very disturbing to me personally.
Heidi Budai with the Anti-Defamation League says she's appalled by this, and the white supremacist group has no place here or anywhere in America.
We can see where hatred can lead. And I think that we should remember that here in the United States, the original hate group and the original group that perpetrated terrorism on our land was the KKK.
Tonight, along the North Korean border, where nearly 29,000 U.S. soldiers are stationed, a tense standoff over America's plans to deploy an advanced anti-missile system. Kim Jong-un's regime, through one of its news anchors, threatening as soon as that system is set up, North Korea will attack it.
It is the unwavering will of our army to deal a ruthless retaliatory strike and turn the South into a sea of fire and a pile of ashes, the moment we have an order to carry it out.
The missile system, called THAAD, or Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, is a battery that can shoot down short and medium-range ballistic missiles, the kind that Kim has been test-firing relentlessly in recent months. A Pentagon official tells CNN tonight the U.S. and South Korea decided to deploy THAAD because of Kim's, quote, continued belligerence. Experts say the missile batteries will likely be set up on U.S. bases inside South Korea.
What could they do against U.S. and South Korean troops manning those positions? Could they strike them? Would they be vulnerable?
They could use artillery pieces. They now have longer range multiple rocket launchers, which the THAAD is not designed to defend against.
Also, U.S. Strategic Command says it has detected a submarine-based ballistic missile launch by the North Koreans. South Korean officials say that test over the weekend was not successful. But the prospect of the North Koreans someday perfecting submarine-launched missiles is alarming to American commanders because they're hard to defend against.
They've taken that a giant leap forward by developing a submarine that could creep along coastlines and avoid U.S. naval counteraction and shoot a ballistic missile at some place like Hawaii.
A capability that analysts believe the North Koreans could have within 5 years. All of this comes as the U.S. is leveling sanctions against Kim Jong-un for human rights abuses. Tonight, Kim's retaliating, cutting off his only channel of diplomatic communications with the U.S., a channel operated through North Korea's mission to the UN.